Hello, in this video we're going to share some tips on how to assemble this bookcase. But before we get started, here's a few things to keep in mind. Estimated time for assembly is about 100 minutes with 2 people and a little bit longer with 1. Make sure you have a Phillips head screwdriver and just make sure everything's facing the right way as you're putting it together and you'll do great. So let's get into it. Just a quick disclaimer, these tips don't cover every step, so make sure you follow the instructions and complete all the steps in order. In step 3, we're going to separate all of the rails, and to do that, you're going to extend the rail, and inside is a little lever that you'll push down, and then you can slide the small part of the rail out. We've already done that on the rest of them, so we'll go ahead and move on to step 4. And for step 4, we're going to attach these rails to pieces 8 and 9. And for this, we just want to make sure that we have the end that extends towards this side of the piece, so opposite the groove. And then we're going to line up this last hole at the bottom with the hole that's here on the piece. And we'll use screws N to secure those. So if you need, you can extend the piece and then just line up the last hole with the hole in the piece. Then the other hole should be somewhere underneath the rail. You can just slide it around until you can see it. It's about right here. And if your screwdriver doesn't quite fit, get a narrower screwdriver, just like that. And then we'll do the other 3, and then we're good to move on. In steps 6 and 7, we're going to attach pieces 8, 9, and 10. And for this, we're going to stand up the side pieces like this, so that the groove's at the bottom. Then we're going to attach this cam bolt into this piece like this. And we want these cam lock holes to face this way. Just like this. And then we'll put in one of our cam locks, just like that. And then we'll take piece 9 and do the same thing on that side. And take our other cam lock and put it in here. And once those are both tight, we're good to move on. In step 14, we're going to put together pieces 4 and 5. And for this, we'll just lift up piece 4 for the underside of it and attach piece 5 with the dowels, just like that. And then you want to make sure these cam lock holes are facing outwards, like this. And then we'll take our screws L, and those go in the top here. And we can tighten those with our screwdriver. All right, and then once we've done all 3, we're good to move on. In steps 16 and 17, we'll be attaching the pieces to this piece. And for this, we're just going to take our first piece, which is piece 3, and this piece will go here on the end. We want the cam lock holes to be facing outwards this way. Then we'll take our cam lock and put it in the hole here, and then lock that in place with our screwdriver. And once that one's tight, we can move on to the rest of the pieces, and those will go on like this. So we'll line up the cam bolt, and then these brackets should line up with the holes here. And we can take our bolts and put them in the brackets. We'll line up the other hole and put this one in. Then we'll take our cam locks, and those go in these. And then we'll grab our hex key and tighten these bolts completely. And then once that one's tight, we'll do the rest of them. And now the last one. Okay, once those are all tight, we can move on and put on this big piece. And then this big piece just lines up with the bolt holes. So we can line those up here. We'll go ahead and secure these 2 here. We'll tighten those completely. And then we'll take our 2 pieces 3, and these go on the end here. We want the cam lock holes to be facing inwards on the piece. And then you want this white stripe to face up against this part, like this, and then we'll lock that in place. And then the same on the other side, white stripe up against this part. And once those are in place, we're good to move on to the next steps. In step 22, we'll be attaching the rails to these pieces here. And for this, you just want to make sure that you have the closed end of the rail on the edge of the dowels. So it should butt up right up against it, and then there's some pre-drilled holes that should line up. Then we can insert our screws N into these, and then there's another hole at the other end, and then we'll add a 3rd screw in the middle, and we may have to make our own hole for this one. Just press hard, and then it should go in. Now we'll do the same thing for this piece. And then on pieces 13 and 14, these smaller ones, the rails will butt up against the edge opposite these holes here. So it'll butt up against this edge, like this. We can go ahead and attach those. And then we'll add the third screw, making our own hole. We can go ahead and do these other two. And then in step 23, we'll take pieces 13 and 14, which are these two smaller ones so we just put the rails on, and piece 12. And then we'll attach 13 and 14 to the sides of 12. And you just want to make sure that we have the grooves lining up all the way across. And also these cam lock holes should be facing inwards, like this. So 13 will go on this side, like this, again with the groove lining up all the way along. And then we'll take our screws L, and these go into the sides. And we'll screw those in. And then we'll attach the other side, again with the groove at the top, cam lock holes facing inwards. And our screws going into the side. And we'll screw those in completely. Okay, and then once that's done, we can do the other drawer with piece 18, 19, and 20. So we'll stand up piece 18. And then on these, again, we want the cam lock holes facing inwards and the groove to line up with this piece. So this piece will go here and line up with the dowels here. And we can put in the screws through the side. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, cam lock holes facing inwards. We'll line up these dowels and put in the screw. Okay, once those are both done, we're good to move on. We hope this video was helpful for you in assembling your new bookcase. For more guides, tips, and tricks, go to walkeredison.com.